Good evening. My name is Al Sulzer. I'm with OWR and Progressive Action Network. There are three organizations sponsoring this tonight. Our speaker, Emily Kuhn from One My Vote, myself representing Progressive Action Network, and Steve and Beth, who's hiding at the moment, from OWR. I can't remember how many other groups I'm in, so we'll just leave it at that. And we're just going to have, we said we had to get started on time, so we're going to have Emily take it away.
Well, thanks for having me tonight. Just so you know, I've lived in the Madison metro area since 2011. Prior to my children being born, I thought I was pretty hip. And then when my son was born, I ventured off to get a hobby because my husband said, "You know how many diapers you talk about all day long and formulas?" And I said, "What do you mean?" He's like, "You need a hobby." Well, I can't run anymore. I mean, I do that for fun, but my knees aren't the same. And I can't paint anymore because I have to wait till he's 5. But then the daughter came along later, so I still have to wait. So I went back to programming. So I made an exciting app, and I was super proud of it. And my husband said, "Find a hobby, I'll support you." So I made an app. But then we found out that nobody was using it, except for my besties all around the country. And I said, "Well, what do I do now?" So I talked to my former college, Carthage and Kenosha, and they gave me a marketing intern. And I said to him, how does this twit work? And he's like, "Whoa, you are so a dinosaur. You need to slow your roll, lady." And he's like, "Put the Twitter down." And he started walking me through. But the reason that I'm talking to you guys today is that I actually did marketing in the 90s as an intern in Kenosha for 2 different companies. And from there, I went and worked in the budget shop for the federal government, and then started managing people. And once in a while, we'd have to do marketing. But when you work in government, you don't really have competition. So when I got this hobby, I had to suddenly learn, how do you make things fly when you have a really good product? And the reason that they reached out to me is that my product is actually an organization. It's actually an app. And how do you brand something that's like a feel-good thing, especially when you're not using it all the time? So today I'm going to be talking to you. My name is Emily Kuhn. I am the Chief Design Officer of One My Vote, and thank you everyone for having me. I did include my contact information in case you don't want to have to try to remember where to get your free app at. But also, as part of your branding, if you're going to do things like that, always make sure your logo is clean. Always make sure it's well designed. And before I get started, I do postcards, and I hand these out at events. The reason is, it's old school. So for my non-social media users, they can put this on the fridge, and then also they can mail it to people. Now, does that actually happen? I don't know. But I can tell you all about the social media clicks. So we're gonna get started. And as people file in, they're just gonna miss out on the fun pictures. Y'all who came early get to see the fun, exciting things. So your organization is the cause, and the cause is the product. I utilize my network to create social media marketing, both free and paid. So we will talk about that. So if you've never ventured into the paid media, it can be very small and effective, but I suggest trying free first. And the reason is that the more likes you have when it's free and you're testing things out, then it'll amplify when you pay for it. So that's the main message. So here I am. This is after baby 2. So we were already rolling for 2 years. And here we are trying different things. Like here I am wrangling a baby. So can you imagine, like, we were trying to find a brand and a message, and we're doing like selfies. I think in the end my husband took this picture, but I was like, all right, take a picture, and then the baby would wobble, and I'm like, okay, we're doing a couple pictures. And so, you know, sometimes you have to make mistakes to get to where you're going. We also wanted to include that, you know, some of our users are in metro areas, because we have a lot of people who follow us from Dane County and from rural parts of Wisconsin. So it's great to have our farm friends and their pictures, but it's also good to show that we're also spread out to Milwaukee and Chicago. And then, and this last picture is something I've worked with my intern, because in old school marketing, we always made sure that we were inclusive. we always made sure that it showed we had different generations, people of different backgrounds. And so here's my intern who taught me to put the Twitter down, as he taught me it was actually a tweet and not a twit. And I wish a current president would learn these things, but that's okay. So there's my son in the picture, and then some of our other interns. So that was 2016. So who here remembers your 1950s marketing where it's like, it's howdy doody time? Okay, thank you for participating. Now, what were some of your favorite campaigns growing up, since you so lovingly shared? Was it like a cereal or a certain toy that comes to mind?
Kool-Aid.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Usually there's a jingle, yeah, some breakfast. I'm sorry?
Tony the Tiger.
Tony the Tiger. Oh, yeah.
I just gave away my age, I guess.
No, in the 80s they brought Tony back, like,
Oh, they did?
hardcore.
Oh, yeah.
So I have that same, like, I had to pause. I was like, yeah, that orange is like vivid in my memories.
And Mr. Whipple.
About 20 Mule Team Borax.
Okay, are y'all hearing that? 20 meal.
Mule Team Borax.
Borax, winner. I don't know what you're talking about, but everyone else does. Good job. All right, so basically television, you guys all knew what he was talking about. And it broadened access to things, just like radio did in the 30s and 40s. But what a lot of marketing folks did then was, if kids liked it and bought it, then they used the same campaign and then added something to it or evolved it a bit. So Tony the Tiger is a perfect example because I saw it in the 80s. I still had the same love for it. My parents knew it, was trusting of it, bought us Tony the Tiger cereal. So in the 80s, we had cable television, kind of diverted attention. My parents did not buy us cable television, but my friends would tell me on how much I'm missing out on. And there was a campaign, I want to say in the early 90s, for Gatorade. And it was like, Michael Jordan, and he was like, I want to be like Mike, be like Mike. And so you could see, you could hear this jingle just going and going. And the same with Pepsi, the Pepsi and Coke wars. So in the 2010s, you get the marketing of television, streaming, social media, and apps. But really, a good marketing campaign goes back to this 3, 6, and 18-month plans. How many of you are comfortable with 3-month and 6-month planning? I'm going to guess in your organizations. Yeah. Okay. This is comfortable. Excellent. And so I can tell you, with the social media mavens or the influencers that are under the age of 30, they have no concept of this. They are thinking about today, maybe in 5 minutes, and last 5 minutes, maybe yesterday, if there's post going well.
Are you talking about CEOs of companies?
Sometimes.
They only 5 minutes they're thinking out? You know?
Oh, influencers like
I'm
the Jenners?
You know, but how much money in 5 minutes we're gonna make, you know?
Could be.
They're planning a horizon.
Could be. I
Ideas.
like the concept. I'm sure it's moment to moment, throw in some stock market, yeah. But I'm talking more about the influencers who are under 30, their time attention span is literally minutes, hours, and maybe a day. And so when they plan a marketing campaign, they're thinking maybe a week out. So if you're helping to plan your organization's marketing campaign between, say, here and Election Day 2020, because I'm going to guess you guys care about that. All right. We are 14 months out. All right. So we're just shy of 18 months, but still got more than 12. And one of the things I'm going to talk to you about today is what we saw in our data mining from the app and what surprised us and what you can use to engage people of different ages when you get towards the 3 and 6 months and in that last month. And now is the time to actually be strategizing and planning. And so it's actually a really good time to be here because you can brainstorm it out and epically fail like I have and start again. Okay, so have you guys actually done marketing for like real jobs here? We have a pro.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, good. Wait, you're not the meal guy, so okay. Now, what was the company? Maybe not the company, but the industry in which you worked.
Food industry,
Perfect.
but not Tony the Tiger.
But not Tony, but you love Tony, so that's good.
That's from being a kid.
Okay, so one of the things I want to talk to you guys about is before social media posts, we used to take pictures and actually enjoy ourselves. Take a look. I actually had fun. I went back and scanned pictures. These are my friends in college. There is no posing. I don't know if you know the 20-something, 30-something picture, but they were like this. And smile. Have you ever seen that pose?
Yeah.
And smile. And they even do the leg. Okay. And I'm sorry to anyone watching this that's under 30. You can write me and complain all you want. We're actually just chilling out in our dorm room. Here, there's a birthday party. I was in her wedding. 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 We're just chilling. This is a great time. People wanted to join us. This photo was used by the college. The 4 of us were besties. There's hundreds of people behind us. Now, this could be partially a coincidence. I think that was most of the college. We were freshmen, so of course we were out front. We're all excited. We have our Carthage gear on. Hundreds of people behind us. It was AIDS Walk, Wisconsin. But they used this for one of the mailers to alumni to say, look, our people are getting out in the community. Boy, that made an impression on me. Not because I'm so awesome, I'm in the front row, but more whoa, look at all the people behind us. Look at that impact. And that's the kind of thing I want to see on social media over the next year, 14 months, is people coming out. Oftentimes in social media, I'll see maybe 3 or 4 people posing, and maybe that's great because of course we're all standing there and I'm here. But it's not hey, we're here, we're making change, we're having a good time. How often does it look in pictures people look like they're having a good time? Anyone? Anyone? Crickets? Okay, so we're having a great time, aren't we? All right, so early social media. There's me and my husband. We're chit-chatting. Haven't made my app yet. Brainstorming it. I'm pregnant with Tom. But we look nice. Also, we didn't know they were taking pictures. But still, you can tell it's early social media. They were looking for that action picture. These are some friends from work. We went to a party. We still look like we're having fun. But yet, now we're suddenly oh, we have to pose. How does this posing thing go? And when you get preoccupied with that, you lose sight of the product and the goal of the organization. And then lastly, we're still working on having a good time, but we have suits on now. Did you see suits in the last set? No, there was no suits. There's something changing in America. But we still went to block parties and ate food. So marketing educates and engages the customer. It positions your product as a trusted source, listens to customer needs. So on this example, and yes, you guys have it all in front of you, so you don't have to take notes. When I worked for a tool company in '98, they gave me the assignment to call customers who are current purchasers of an item and ask them what they liked about it, what they didn't like about it. And what I found out over the summer of research was that everyone used 3 to 5 functions of the product, but it offered 21. They had gone from being a mechanical item to a technical item, and they had all these advanced gizmos. Well, it wasn't selling well, and they couldn't figure out why. So that's why they gave me the research. And when they figured out that people were using 3 to 5, they actually relaunched a dumbed down version because it was overwhelming the customer. They didn't know where to start. They couldn't remember all of the pathways. But what they also decided was to keep the current tool alive, but kind of shelf it, and then introduce a 3 to 5 function tool. And then in 2 years, offer the 10. And then in 2 years, offer the 15. And then get to the 21. They had jumped too quickly. And I do actually see this sometimes when I'm talking about the app. A lot of people don't use our advanced functions because they're really just looking for a couple of pieces of information. But I want you to think about that. So as you talk over the next couple of months with people in your organization, you can talk about Are we making it simple enough to figure out that next step? And if we're offering too much, how can we just offer it, say, a week later? Like 2 or 3 items a week later or a month later, and just break it down so that people can absorb it. I can tell you the reflection on that is the current political situation is that most of my friends are just overwhelmed right now. They want to take action, they don't know where to start anymore. They see all these things, they think it's wonderful, but they're exhausted. So we have to sort of just pause and relaunch, much like the tool company that did that successfully. So when we do well with our outreach on the One My Vote app, what we actually do is say, hey, do us a favor. If you like it, tell a friend. We don't even say tell 5 friends. That's what everyone told us to say. Technically, we're supposed to say tell 5 friends. We say tell a friend because we think that just builds our trust. So who we are. It's a free nonpartisan voter app. Our goal is to provide simple, straightforward information with voters with 3 issues and a link to official website so they can learn more themselves. The target audience is new and infrequent voters. A lot of people want to know why we're not sharing basically 21 points of information. And what I learned from the tool company was give them a couple and then in an advanced feature say, if you want to learn more, go to these other sites. League of Women Voters, excellent. Project Vote Smart, excellent. Other sources out there. If you want advanced, you're one of our advanced users, go find another source, we'll list you a couple. So in January of 2016, so my son was 3, we had 80 downloads. So 80 of my friends over 6 months downloaded this and kept it on. They are our true believers. By November of that year, so 10 months later, we had over 2,000 downloads. And how we got from here to there was marketing, because that's where I was stuck, as I talked in the beginning. So, and the proud thing that we had was we did find out that Democrats, Republicans, and independents, and some libertarians did use the app. And then these are where they came up, from which states are they from. So they're from all over, mainly Wisconsin. But that goes back to our data analytics. So if you ever get stuck on your data analytics, I could slice and dice and tell you lots of stuff. But again, that's an advanced discussion, just buy me coffee. That's probably what we do. So we're using a smartphone platform, that's my choice. A part of the reason is, this is kind of funny actually. What we heard from young people was that they were using data or dating apps to pick people out, like right, left, whatever it is. Matching, all this profile. I've been married for like 15 years. I don't really understand. But I'm like, if they're used to going into a smartphone app and looking at pictures and then reading some bio, they're going to understand this. This is not dating, obviously, but the purpose is to look at a candidate and remember, something they saw, a speech given, and be like, oh yeah, I like that guy, but I don't remember his name. Oh, the name's listed underneath. Or who is this person? I've never heard of them. Well, these are the issues they go for. So 92%, when we did market research, would use a candidate app, and we found that out in November of 2015. And at ages 17 to 74 responded and said that they would use it. We were hoping for like 30%. We were shocked it was 92%. We were like, whoa, we're on to something. So part of that was this market research that we went out and did to figure out if there was an audience. And then in the spring of 16, we had 5% growth on Wisconsin's primary day. That was shocking to us. But then in 2018, it was actually 40% on election day. Most of our growth is 3 weeks out and 3 days out, so kind of keep that in mind when you're building your marketing campaign, especially 12 months out. So our intern, John, who is amazing, told us to go take different pictures. All of us. We had to take at least 3 pictures in a month when we got started. Said, go be silly, go learn how to use your phone, have a friend help you, whatever it is. But everyone take pictures and send them all to me. I will screen out the ones that don't function, basically. Or I will sort them in a way that says, we have some people of different age groups, men and women, and sort of that way you're slotting them in a particular way. So here's my in-laws. They got in on the action. This is one of our interns. She's like, we're showing we're moms. We're like, we got a bag. This is 2 of our interns. And then on election day 2016, he gave us a new strategy. He goes, I want you to get a whiteboard, and I want you to go I want you to go write why you should vote and text me the picture immediately. So he gave us no time to overthink it or take a pretty picture, but just go be real. So I wrote vote loud and proud. I'm still so proud of this moment actually, because look at me, I'm just like, I don't know what I'm doing. That's my look. But people actually really liked it and just probably look approachable and that I'm trying. So we started testing. What were the best days of the week? And the reason I say that is because we found that Tuesday mornings, we had high volume clicks through Thursday afternoons. I can tell you that Monday mornings we have the most downloads after a debate. It's almost as if people are at the water cooler and they're embarrassed. They have no idea what they're talking about. So they go and look us up. And so we have these downloads, but it doesn't always correlate with our marketing. But the best days of the week for clicks and recall was Tuesday morning through Thursday night. So if you're gonna do paid media, make sure you remember that. And this is the trick. We have a ton of moms that follow us. So you're looking at women 30 to 45, 30 to 50, and they're looking at 6 a.m., 5:30, 6 a.m., and then they're looking again from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Why is that important? Well, if that's a target audience, and it's probably more like parents in general, that's when the kids are asleep and they have a whole 15 minutes to themselves while they're drinking coffee. And so they are engaging, and yes, I want to make change. Our younger people tend to be like 9 o'clock at night to 1 a.m. So if that's your target audience, make sure you're doing paid promotion of that. So we went over the best times of the week, and when did people really want to know about a political app? Basically, a couple weeks out from a campaign to day of. So when we do paid media now, we don't really push it unless we're testing a new strategy until that last 6 weeks. Otherwise, it's just money being thrown away. Oh, so this is the fun part. I was handing out postcards at a meeting. This is a really well-liked picture on social media, probably because of the baby. I do not have my hair done. I have my purse, the baby's in a Bjorn. Like, I am not perfect at all. Like tonight, I totally did the hair flip. Here, hair's thrown back. People loved it anyways. So you don't have to be perfect. Here's the hair flip. This was actually in Business Magazine. Not liked on social media at all. No idea why. Maybe it's the business suit. Maybe I don't look approachable.
No baby.
No baby, right. Mom, totally approachable. This one, I don't know, it looks stiff. I look uncomfortable. Probably wasn't comfortable. This was a speech that I did for Indivisible after the Charlottesville thing, Charlottesville vigil. I really enjoyed that experience, so I'm adding that, but also look at the people. I think that's why I really like this one. It's not just about me, but I like that it's the vigil part that's showing. And this one, of course, I love because I took my kids to it, and I'm totally engaged in the political process, right? But if I'm a nonpartisan app, can I really put this one on? Unless I balance it with some of my Republican friends. So this one I kind of keep back for just my personal and my presentations. But again, look at the crowds. Also, I own the picture. I took the picture, so I have every right to repost it. So if you're using pictures, make sure you own it. Your friend with the camera, make sure he's taking extras for you, because then you can use them within the community. Again, this picture, totally well loved. Me, not so much. This one, baby. Cross political parties, everybody loves it. Okay, so audience question. Which one of these two do you think people like the best? Which one got the most likes?
The guy with the cup.
The guy with the cup.
Yeah.
That was my assumption.
Oh, really?
It was. Because we have a lot of women that follow us, which are probably because I have 80 friends that downloaded it first and then they told their friends. He looks like a nice guy, trustworthy, has like retro coolness. Nope, they love the mom. In yoga pants. I thought this one would fail. I'm like, she looks like me, you know?
The angle is much more interesting. The other one is just kind of a
Flat.
posed portrait, whereas that's more.
Maybe moving? Maybe she's moving. Oh, she's got like almost emotion.
Or just the angle is different than.
Yeah, and actually-
That's kind of like an old-fashioned looking picture. That looks like a new selfie style Give me that picture.
She is my age. She does have 2 small children, and it's totally a selfie pose. My mom took this picture. She is a senior tech ambassador. We gave her cards. She gets tons of downloads, but she took this picture. So you're right. She was doing it the way she's comfortable with. My friend picked up a phone, snapped it. By the way, we did the same thing that our intern told us, which is, hey, followers, super users, go take a picture of yourself on voting day. So she has the I voted sticker. That might have been part of it. And then we told them whoever got the most likes would get a mug. And I think we actually sent out 3 or 4 of them. But people love this. They were like, oh, I want a mug. You're always posing with a mug. How do I get a mug? So the mug hasn't really delivered on getting downloads, but man, they're great prizes. So if you ever want to know where I order from, just ask. And so we talk about when do people actually click. So there is data analytics on Facebook, Instagram, all those Snapchat stuff, and you can work with somebody who might be more comfortable with it, but then you can also mentor them on the old school marketing techniques, and you can also mentor them in activism or careers. So 3 weeks and 3 days before an election, we get a lot of downloads. In 2016, we got a 5% bump on election day, and then in 2018, we got a 40% bump after breakfast on election day. That morning I checked, I saw no movement. I thought her app is dead. Nobody's using it on a major election day. I came back that night, checked the results, and I was shocked. That meant people were standing in line and literally downloading us. So bravo. The other cool thing is we don't lose users. You would think somebody who uses an app every 2 years, especially in the 20 to 30-year-old profile, would take it off immediately. Maybe recall it for the next election. They actually keep it. So it's probably our new infrequent and independent voter who wanted just-in-time delivery fast. So if you're, wait a minute. Who's still new at social media postings? Anybody? Excellent. Thank you for your honesty. Okay, so know your organization's framework and ethical standards. Now, I do work in federal government. I cannot talk about what my federal job is for the daytime stuff. However, I can tell you that we talk about ethics all the time. And we talk about if you know your values and the mission, you're going to make mistakes once in a while, but you're going to stay true to the mission. So you want to kind of do the same thing for your organization.
What did you call it?
Values, mission?
Oh, no, the other word. I'm not familiar with it.
Ethics?
Ethics or something like that?
Oh, you're making a joke. You're so sweet. I'm like, federal
Works for the
government?
federal government, and they know something about ethics in the place where she
Ethics.
works. I know, it's shocking.
Don't work for the White House or Congress.
Must be the court system.
All right. So, yeah, don't get me all into trouble. Don't be pulling me into trouble. So, know your organization's framework and ethical standards. Like a car, don't hand the keys over to a 16-year-old who hasn't taken the driver's test yet. I say that because I saw a lot of friends do this. They're like, I'm uncomfortable doing social media, I'll just get an intern, and then they kind of look at 1 or 2 things, and then they're like, you're fine. Here's a picture, here's the standard language, and then all of a sudden you get like a midnight posting that is crazy. Also, they might be posting for 3 or 4 different organizations and they flip-flop them. So you want to make sure that you're spending a month, 6 weeks now, making sure interns understand, or influencers who are in their 20s and 30s that want to become great activists, that they are staying true to your ethos. And whatever that looks like for you guys, it takes a little time. So think through a few types of posts and be creative. Remember how I said, do 3 or 4 and show them to friends? My other suggestion is draft it. Like basically old school, I do PowerPoints examples. Send it to some friends and say, do I want to see this in 5 years? Would I be embarrassed to see this in 5 years? Because I have to tell you, sometimes they're cheeky and wonderful, and all of a sudden you see it like a year later on the reposting, and you're like, ooh, cringeworthy. Now we know more. So just try to keep it cool and neutral for a little bit while you're testing the waters. Find some cute pictures, large crowd sizes, and don't be afraid to misspeak the platform lingo. That is my #1 thing. When you're new to this, you know old school marketing because we already went over the 1950s marketing and Tony the Tiger. We went over 80s marketing, which brought back Tony, and the 2010s. But we know about marketing from our own personal experience. people who are influencers and social media mavens that you might be partnering with, they're going to just talk about what's in their worldview. But remember that they're sticking towards the next 5 minutes and the next hour and the next day. You have the campaign in mind. So you have to kind of work through that translation piece with Facebook and Instagram. And if you say Insta who and Insta what, or Snap, what is that called again? Just be like, hey, you know what? I know about careers and activism. How can I help you? Help me through this part. And work together, and that's what we actually do in our programs. So with our social media marketing in our final day, so remember, our intern said to us, hey, you know, this last month, we're going to try and get as many downloads as we can, which we got to over 2,000 then. We're at like close to 4,000 now. So in those final days, he would start to give us weekly objectives. And then that last week, it was daily. And then it was like on election day, he gave us 3 different ones. And we had to respond. He was in charge of us and our marketing. So these were some friends of his that were Republicans, because we had so many Democrats. I'm like, go find some Republicans. He's like, why? I'm like, well, we're nonpartisan. So go find some people wearing red or something that look conservative or something. And so he found these lovely people. He probably made them put on red just to meet this goal. And then here's my mom, bless her heart. I'm like, Mom, sit in front of a computer because people don't believe me that 17 to 74 would use an app. She's like, but it's a laptop. I'm like, I get you, but I want to show that there are people who are over 70 using tech. And she's like, all right, I'm on it. And then this is some of her friends, and I think she was a neighbor of my intern. So this is my intern again. So this is on election day because we decided to do pictures with our stickers. That was one of our main media campaigns. So if you have like absentee voter push, if they do it, sometimes we'll do an absentee voter push, like, hey, I absentee voted today. When are you going to do this? So we would do that, what is that, like 4 weeks out? 6 weeks out? Okay. I'm getting nods. Am I losing y'all? Okay, it's almost done, I swear. So here's my mom again. She's now using the postcards. So we have, and the reason we kept putting the mugs in and the postcards is that when people now look at social media, they no longer read the lines above it and below it. People in my age group do. Your age group might. But people who are in their age group, totally just scrolling for pictures and food and puppy dogs. And so we were like literally like bouncing these things in there just to see if it would catch their mind. Because what we heard was you have to see things 7 times to really consider it. Don't know if that's actually true, but we went with it. So free and paid media. How many of you guys have worked with paid media for online? Thank you. And have you done it for more than a year-ish? Fantastic. So one of the best things to do is do a bunch of posts and find your followers' favorite 1 or 2 over a few weeks. Now this can be hard and bruising because like in that picture where I did my hair flip and I'm standing next to those voting booths in Madison and the mayors are above me and I'm all proud. I'm like, oh, look at me. No likes. I was like, what did I do? Meanwhile, the picture with the baby and my hair thrown back and I look completely disorganized, totally loved. I was like, wow, I look horrible in that picture. Like it can be brutal to put yourself out there. So you have to be open to that. And I think that's why I like the idea of doing a couple different sets. Maybe different locations, lighting. Okay, he had a point about the selfie pose. Not that I'd recommend everyone to suddenly selfie pose, but different angles are good. And just trying things out and being comfortable. She probably looked comfortable there. And then you can boost your post with a small fee. I usually only do $10 over 3 days, that Tuesday through Thursday push. Because if $10 gets me like 5 likes or 5 downloads, it is not worth my time. It's not worth doing another 100 or 500. I literally do $10 and then I test whether the algorithm is changing or people's likes are changing as to when they're looking at stuff. Does 4 a.m. on a Tuesday to 2 a.m. on Friday morning really still function? Or is it changing? The other thing is if it's rainy here in Wisconsin, People are on social media. We learned that. We started amplifying our $10 purchases for that. Oh, look, thunderstorms for the next day and a half. I know it's a Saturday, but people will be inside. Same thing for blizzards. When you hit polar vortex next January, February, have a polar vortex plan. Whenever it hits, have your $40 ready and a marketing plan. Are you stuck inside doing, with the kids? Are you stuck inside and want to get out? We need help now doing virtual phone banking, calling your senator. They're at the Capitol. It's balmy there. What are you doing? You're in your buddy slippers. You can call them today. You can sign up to be with us in March. So midweek, that's when they're on their phones. So how many of you know about Hootsuite and Sprout and/or? Do you know about this? All right. Look, I'm actually going to teach you something. How fun. I'm pretty new at it. I do have data analytics on the inside of the app that I self-designed because I'm a data nerd, and I don't like Facebook owning my data. I'm kind of like that. So I have tons of pie charts on the inside that no one else gets to see, and I data mine for it, but it's all in aggregate form, so if you're worried, your stuff is totally safe. But what Hootsuite and Sprout does is that it copies and pastes all of your marketing campaigns onto all of these different platforms at once. Now, it turns out I am new to Hootsuite, but it completely parallels Facebook analytics. And my marketing intern is now mastering Sprout, and he said they're totally alike because I kind of gave him a demo of what Hootsuite looks like so that his skills and talents would keep up with the market, and then he was keeping me up to date on Sprout. So what we actually did from 2016 to 2019 is actually copy and paste. If we were on Instagram, then we would copy that information into Facebook or do simultaneous posts, but my intern was literally copying and pasting. Well, that costs no money. If you have money to run your data analytics, and it's probably not much, but you can always take a look for it, you can actually sign up for this, and it'll actually post, because you can schedule your post out for those Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday slots. Maybe not rainy days, weather forecasting is not on there yet. And we'll actually post simultaneously across all the platforms. So if you want one-stop shopping, it's a great way to go. And then on the back end, it gives you the information feed of this is how many clicks you had for, remember the lady with the pose? Versus the guy who's like, here's my cup of tea, take a picture. Okay, so it'll say, hey, this one is trending, this one not many clicks. And that may help you then look down the road. If you were to look at Hootsuite or Sprout, I would do it almost in the next month or two, get comfortable with it, make mistakes, understand what the data analytics say, because if something is failing, you can retool before then. And that is my beeper to tell me I need to wrap it up, which is perfect. Hootsuite and Sprout do cost money, so you want to do a budget line for that, do some research, and most importantly, have some fun. So, have some questions for me because I am a city councilwoman in Middleton, and we do have city council tonight, so I will be scooting to that. So in the meantime, I actually do this stuff for my political career, and I have found that people do just care about 3 issues. So when I did my door knocking, that's what I stuck to, and I did postcards to the whole district on parks and police because things are constantly changing. You had a question?
Well, I was just, the Hootsuite and Sprout, is it like a monthly?
It is a monthly subscription to my knowledge. If I had to guess, it's probably $50 or $100 a month. So it can be significant. We did it old school and we were fine. I can tell you, Instagrammers tend to be millennials and maybe moms of millennials-ish. Facebook tends to be my age to 60 right about now, maybe a little bit younger. I always see my friends who now have like teenagers and like middle schoolers to college kids. So we're the ones on there, their kids are not on Facebook. So if your target audience are moms like me, go for Facebook. Stay with it. It's known, the data analytics are pretty clean, the cost is low. Instagram, I haven't been on it for a while. We haven't done paid media for a year, but you can do that too. So, but $50 to $100 because of the data analytics. If you want to be on all platforms, because engaging those 20 to 30-year-olds are tough, it might be an option for you.
So
And I would do just one or the other, by the way, not both.
So the example with your app is looking at this election day that happens every 2 years. For us, it's like we want to get people to meetings once a month is part of what we want. So it's a regular thing. How is our campaign different?
Good point.
Than that?
Good point. Is it always the same time and place?
Pretty much mostly.
Okay. The one thing, this is a really good question. Just so you guys know, the way Facebook rolls their AI is that if you have 1 or 2 likes, you don't show up here. And so even if I belong to a group, like I belong to a lot of moms groups around town, I don't know about their stuff until after the event happened. Or during it while they're live feeding and I'm like, oh, I would have gone to that. Snap.
Yeah.
So there's kind of some tricks of the trade that we still use. What I would do is send a Facebook post, like try it on Facebook just to test it, or whatever platform you use. 3 weeks out. Say, hey, we're having a meeting, and then literally 3 to 4 days out, repeat it, and then the day before, and then that afternoon. And start to see, and maybe we don't do it all in 1 month, but in 1 month, try the 3 weeks out, and maybe a week out. And then the second month, change it up. Try 2 weeks out and 3 days out. And the third month, try it 1 week out and day of. And see where you're getting the most clicks and likes, because you can do that without paying any money. You can actually see what you're getting. What I've had to learn is that they want you to pay your $10 a month to get it visible. So you may have to bump it or amplify it by paying $10. I don't know if that's worth it. I can tell you with Dane County Dems, when I go to their meetings, I do see it online, but I don't know if they post it once and I'm just missing it in my feed. But man, when I get the postcards like a week and a half later, I'm like, oh, right. And it's always the same time, in the same place, same location. You'd think I'd catch on, and yet even I'm not doing it.
Have you done A/B testing with Facebook posts?
Yes.
You have to explain what that is.
Yes.
To people.
It's excellent. I actually taught that to my intern. He was very impressed. Like, oh.
Can you repeat what he just said?
A/B testing. Thank you for asking. Yeah.
A/B.
Have you done A/B testing?
So it's you create 2 ads, and people who are on their Facebook will see one or the other ad, and then you find out which one got more action.
And this was actually built from that concept. And I like that you brought this up because I flaked on it, so I apologize. What they learned, I have a fabulous article on it. If you remember me or remind me, I'll send you the email so you don't have to go searching for it. But it literally was, the Obama campaign did a ton of this in 2012, I think. And what they found was if they said donate today or click to volunteer, they had very few clicks. But if they said learn more, they got this high volume. So you'll actually see, like some of our posts will always say learn more, you know, like basically, and then a link, and then they do it, and then what Obama's campaign was donate, volunteer. And so it was a little bit of a grab. But what they found was that if they softened the approach, and the other thing the Obama campaign found was that they did a picture of him like standing like this almost at this going, I'm the president, I'm in charge. That look, that very formal, which I thought was my guess would do the best. Remember how we said we both thought, this would be the trustworthy clicking. No, it was actually this one. And what they found was if he was with his 2 daughters and his wife in a sitting pose, like on the floor, all kneeling together, they got the most likes and the most donations. Totally mind-blowing to me. Not what I expected. But the reason I say that is now I tell, when candidates ask me, what do I need to do, they actually call that the Madonna pose, the Mary with Child. And someone goes, I don't have kids. I'm like, well, do you have a dog, a farm? Someone goes, I have a chicken. I'm like, go for it. You know, it's just changing it up. Because what you'll see is politicians do this with their suit coat on. It's almost this pose, without the smile. Like, I'm serious, and I'm running for state senator. And you're like, I looked at 1,000 websites when I was loading in 2016. I saw so many serious people, I was like, there's a lot of serious people. And they liked the chickens. They liked the people with the chickens and the dogs. It was approachable. It was the hot mess mom rolling. They liked it. They clicked, they learned more, they donated more. So thank you for asking. I'll send it around.
When I'm on my page, I have an event, I can invite others to that. Can I do that from our organization's page?
Yes.
I can invite people?
I'm trying to think. You should be able to. I've done it with my campaign page, which would, on Facebook, which would parallel an organization's page. Al, do you have any specific examples that you can think of? No? Okay. So what I usually do is, when I was canvassing for office, I would invite people to come and volunteer. Come learn more. Here, click here. I can tell you, out of like the 40 people I invited, and I figured they'd all bring friends, we need to order pizza for like 200, I got like 3 people show up. It was heartbreaking. I can't lie to you.
Well, I'll create an event like for our assembly, and then I'll go out as myself.
Yes, and amplify it.
And then invite my friends.
That might be the best way to do it. I can try to look at it technically to see if there's a better way.
I'm not sure if I can do it from the organization's page.
Are you an administrator? Yeah. Maybe send me an email and I'll test it. I'll test it on my campaign page and see if I can find a workaround for you. Facebook has been doing some redesign, so we are finding some things that worked in 2016 didn't work in 2018, and what worked in 2018 didn't work in 2019. So they're constantly changing, so it can be frustrating. Did you guys have any other questions? Oh, by the way, the interns keep me on my toes. There it goes again. So if you ever have a question, just know that I have joy reaching out to my former interns who now have real paid jobs. I'm like, I'm sorry. I can't pay you. We're not that successful. We're only at 4,000.
What can you tell us about Twitter?
Oh, Twitter. It's exciting. It's exciting. Okay, I can tell you in 2016, in the summer of 2016, there were so many scheduled posts because that was the first place you could schedule posts that I thought it was going to crash and burn because I was on there when an international event hit, think like a hurricane or an earthquake, something major. So I'm like, here I am like, so sorry to hear, not going to talk about my voting app here, but really sorry for, Tunisia, wherever, Zimbabwe, and whatever's going on. Literally, I saw hundreds of posts clear that were all scheduled. Nobody went in to clear them. So it was like, hey, come buy a car, or like something else is happening in the news, all fluff and warm and doggies and puppy dog tails. But there was nothing about the earthquake or hurricane or whatever it was. And I was like, I was watching this in live. Now, mind you, I was on maternity leave, so I had endless hours of a colicky baby crying in my ear. So I'm like, here I am on Twitter. Did you have something?
Yeah. At the Cap Times Idea Fest, they had 4 reporters, 5 actually, from the Washington Post. What they said is that it's unfortunate, but all the media follows Twitter.
They do.
And that pretty much dictates sometimes what the news is. Everybody wants to get the jump on others.
Yeah.
So my question, more clearly defined, is how do we use it as an organization?
Well.
And again, if you look at the Trump phenomenon,
Yes.
he had 25 million followers.
Yes.
And then you combine that with his TV program,
Yes.
The Apprentice.
Yes.
So he had a political base that he worked from.
Yes.
So.
And I was a huge follower of Trump because it was just fascinating. We actually predicted him in February and March of 2016 of winning Wisconsin. Well, not Wisconsin, but winning the country.
When you say we, what do you mean by we?
Me and my husband from the data analytics of the platform. And when we told media outreach, they said, it's ridiculous, that'll never happen. And then when he kept putting primaries, we said, this is what the data says, and we had
I
to go
wrote
back.
an op-ed in June that year predicting he'd win if there was a terrorist attack, or Hillary Clinton went in with a 5-point lead, and millennials would either sit home, African Americans would sit home, or people would spin off and vote for the Green candidate or the Libertarian candidate.
Yep, that's exactly what happened. Well, I appreciate your insight on that, and I do see that. What I was getting back to Twitter is that if he would not have won, I predicted that Twitter would have collapsed. Their followers were, it was so being scheduled that everyone was listening and nobody was talking. It was so scheduled and there was no authenticity when things happened that it was crashing. But now you see the change because people had converted to Twitter, they're starting to do that on Facebook. Facebook is the one that's now collapsing. People aren't using it. Unless they got babies, they're all posting with college friends.
Well, again, it all depends on the segment you're going after.
Right. And so the way I would use Twitter is in the ways that you're talking, if you want to get people to react. Do you want to use it to get people to come here? Possibly. But I have to tell you, with the scheduling on the Hootsuite or the Sprout, that's probably how I'd use it. And what my intern taught me to do is know the max you can have on Twitter, build your slogan for that campaign for Twitter, and then send it to Instagram and Facebook. So kind of working backwards from the way that I was sharing. But I let go of my Twitter account because trying to follow Twitter after I went back to work full time after baby, and she no longer had colic, so I was actually sleeping again. I was like this. I was like, I just can't. There's just so much going on in the world. It takes a lot of energy. I would almost have someone keeping an eye on it, but I probably wouldn't post except for Tuesday through Thursday. Otherwise, it's a lot of idle chatter. If you're spending all your time reacting to what's going on in the political climate, people are exhausted anyways. By the way, there's pizza. If you're hungry, go eat. I'm leaving soon, so please start the line. I can answer questions. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Twitter is tough. If the president wins in 2020, we will have to really be excellent at Twitter. If he does not win in 2020, I expect Twitter to start fading. It might be a different platform that rises, but kind of think of the after. Because
Are you saying that because we have an imbecile in the White House who uses Twitter for policy? So
Yes.
what you're saying is that he's following that, and that's why the media's on. And that if he's defeated, Twitter won't be that platform anymore.
Correct.
Okay, I just want to get clear.
It would probably be a slower decline than it would have been in 2016.
Okay.
It was already declining based on what I saw.
Well, Trump is surprised he won anyway.
Some say.
Maybe. He sure looked like Bambi in the deer lights, like so Obama.
Sometimes we like to win, and then we realize what we won, and that could be part of
Hopefully
it.
he'll regret this.
A couple of questions. You talked about doing like the 3 weeks out. Sometimes something happens pretty spontaneously, and there's a march to the Capitol.
Yes.
Something like that.
Like the women's march.
Yeah.
Yeah, we found out with like 5 weeks notice, 3 weeks notice, we were all like, we're going.
Sometimes we have a week.
Yes.
Things in Madison.
Yes.
So one group will share, and then another group will share. How, I mean, just
10 or 10:30.
kind of disorganized. Is there a better way to do that?
Yeah, I'm hoping we get there. That can be frustrating for me as a mom because, again, I probably do look at social media Tuesday through Thursday because the rest of the time I'm running with small children and we're getting from sports to art and everything else. By the time I get the notice, it's usually like the day before or day of. And sometimes I can rearrange my schedule, sometimes I can't. What I would work on for the next 14 months is finding a way to share information amongst your component heads, which is how we say it in federal government, but basically your boards or whatever. Sharing your piece of information you have, and then finding a way to share like a calendar post out. Like maybe these are the 3 things going on this week. And then when something is added, edit the post. And make sure you're amplifying those every 2 to 3 days. Hey, this week, remember we're having our OWR meeting and it's fabulous. Emily Kuhn will be telling us about her babies. and mugs and smiling interns, and you don't want to miss there's pizza. And in case you're watching this someday, come to a future meeting. It smells great. And then, but the next day Friday we're having the march. No, the environmental, the climate. Thank you. And so I've had 3 texts from people, which is amazing. 3 different organizations have asked me, are you coming? I'm like, yes. But what they haven't asked is when, because it's from like 12 to 5, I think. Well, I have an hour lunch. I work 12 minutes from the Capitol. I can drive down there and show up and protest for about 36 minutes. And then I'm going to drive back to work because I have no leave because I have children. But I plan to be there. But yeah, if there's got to be a way that you can amplify. When you're 1 week out, I think you just got to start sending the message and ask your people, like at these regular meetings, at these monthly meetings, remind everyone to pull out their smartphone, like literally. Everyone pull out your smartphone right now. Check your social media while I'm tidying up. Why? I want you to amplify one thing that you see. Maybe it's Friday's protest. Say, how many are coming with me? Because that's part of the A/B testing that we learned. If we said to people, download the app today, no one did it. But if you said, hey, have you heard about this cool thing we're doing? Or like, hey, who's going to join me to vote, whatever, November, whatever it is, 2020. Who's joining me? Oh, then we had people who were like, yes, I'm in. And sometimes we would do the like coy kind of thing where it's like, you two are friends, so you say, yes, I'm into his, and someone sees that, they're like, yes, I'm in too. And so then you kind of play off that. That helps then the AI move it to the top. So I work on those strategies.
Well, like the Charlottesville Vigil, that was just a couple of days' notice.
Yes. I actually got notified at 2 o'clock that afternoon to give a speech. That was really short notice. Because I've worked on many projects where I've had to give speeches on short notice, I could do it. But I literally had notes because I didn't have time to memorize, and I was embarrassed. But I did it. But you're right, people cold called me on that one. There was no social media push, there was no email, Emily, come. It was literally, here's a cold call, can you do this? Can you show up? And I think it was 4 hours from then. With a 5-minute speech. I said, sure, what's the topic? They said, anything you want to do. I'm like, social justice, I'm in. I'm going to talk about it. So, yeah, sometimes we go back to the old school and kind of think about it from the way that I've been talking, which is, if nothing else, and you don't think many people are going to show up, send a postcard. If you're too short, pick up the phone. Make sure you get your confirmed, because that's what I did on my campaign, is when it wasn't working on social media and it wasn't working on postcards, I started cold calling my friends and shaming them. Hi, friend. You said you'd help me any way you could to have me run for office. They're like, well, of course we did. I'm like, so, you doing anything Saturday? Yeah, I'm really busy. I'm like, great, so you can drop off some water bottles and pizza? Yeah? Okay, great, thanks. Because maybe they couldn't come and door knock. Maybe they were afraid to. Well, they could still drive the car or they could drop some food for me. Because your volunteers, you gotta keep going and you gotta motivate them. So I think with that, I am up. Is there any last minute questions? Did you all amplify one thing in that 2-minute message session?
Thank you, Emily.
You're welcome.
I think the old school, new school thing to keep in mind, platforms don't sell, people do. It's always about you and your authenticity and your realness. Thank you very much. Wonderful job.